Hello, I'm Norbert Sonic. I'm from Minnesota, southern Minnesota, and we've invented a wood duck house that's virtually predator proof, and we've made it out of PVC plastic, and it's a resin type material, and the house is designed for a specific reason. From the bottom of the house to the entrance of the hole is about 9.5 inches, and the reason we've done that is to give it nesting space for the hen when she lays the eggs. Also, that if a predator was to crawl up the pole that we suggest that you mount it on, it makes it almost impossible for the predator to reach around and get up to something to grab a hold of. And we have, as you can see here, I'm taking off a thumb screw, and they are nylon bolts. There isn't nothing here metal to rot or to rust. And when you remove them, it makes it so you can take the top off, so you can clean the house out and inspect the eggs if you so desire. And the house comes, we have the only house that I know of that is insulated, and the insulation isn't something that's sprayed on or glued on or pasted on inside the house. It's impregnated right into the resin that the house is made from. The reason for the insulation is to keep it, surprisingly, to keep it cool in there, because if the embryo in the egg gets over a certain degrees, like around 112 degrees, it kills the embryo in the egg, and the nest is pretty much shot, and the hen has done all the work for nothing. We've also put a ladder on the inside that's made of plastic, and so that it doesn't rot or rust like a metal one would. And this here ladder is fastened to the house, duck house, with 3 nylon bolts. There again, there's nothing metal here to rust and to rot. And we've also put weep holes, or drain holes we call them, in the bottom of the house. I don't know if you can see them or not from here. And the reason for that is that so it keeps the nesting material dry. And we know a duck likes water, so when they come in, when she comes in to nest, why, it keeps the nesting material somewhat dry. Okay. We then, for the really wood duck enthusiast, we've put a side door. And there again, there is no metal here to rust or to rot. You take the 2 thumb screws out that are nylon bolts, take them off, and you can take the door off the side as an inspection door to count the eggs and look at the young if you like, and so forth. And it all goes back on again, real simple. There's, like I say, there's nothing here to rot or to rust. The birdhouse comes, the ladder, the customer has to install that themselves, which is really simple. There's only 3 nylon bolts to deal with. The house comes with the wood shavings, which we require the wood shavings because if you go with sawdust, it's too small and it plugs the vent holes or the weep holes on the bottom of the house. Okay, and then we put the vent holes on the side of the house to keep the house as cool as we possibly can. And we know that the darker colors absorbs heat, and the lighter colors reflects heat. We do sell this house in a white color, which I personally prefer because of the heat problem. We learned another thing is to point the entrance to the entrance hole where the duck goes in, to the north and to the west. And the reason for that is to keep the sun from shining in it all day long and cooking her inside there. And we're really proud of the fact that we made the house just about 100% predator proof. And we've designed the house so that it fits on top of a 3-inch Schedule 40 PVC pipe, and it's really important that you use a 3-inch Schedule 40 PVC pipe. They do that's cellular cord fill, and it's not near as strong as required for this house as a Schedule 40. So with that being said, we mount the house on top of this 3-inch Schedule 40 pipe, and the pipe you can buy at any of the local distributors like Menards or Home Depot, or there's several of them out there, and you can buy the house or the pole a lot more reasonable than I can ship it to you. So what we done is we mounted this birdhouse, this wood duck house, on top of the 3-inch Schedule 40 pipe, and by doing so, you set it on top of the house, or on top of the pole. And you'll notice there's a hole there, and the reason for the hole is this clip goes onto the house and snaps in to the hole that's pre-drilled into the pole here, so that it holds the house in the proper position and stationary where you want it. And being on this 3-inch Schedule 40 pipe, now, like I was saying earlier, when the raccoon or a weasel or a mink or whatever tries to crawl this pole, now he has to let go with his 2 front paws to get up here to reach to get something else to get a hold of to pull himself up. There's nothing there to get a hold of. Our wood duck house is about 99% predator proof when you mount it on this pole. And if you put this pole, you can do a land application or a water application, and as long as you put the pole at least 12 foot away from a tree, so a squirrel can't jump to it, you've made it another reason for it's predator proof. When you go from this pole, of course, the position that it's in, it's too low. An average cat can jump 7 feet, and I've seen them already catch a bluebird coming out of the bluebird house by timing their leap to get the bluebird, and they would do the same thing with a wood duck. So what we did was, because we want to make it accessible so that you can get at it and maintain the house and look at it, if you're really an avid wood duck person that wants to count the eggs and so forth. You made like I was saying earlier, the house needs to be up high enough to stay away from predators, and mainly the rogue cat. So being old and fat like I am, I'm not going to crawl up that pole or drag a ladder out there every day if I wanted to monitor the nests. So what we did was, is we come up with a sleeve here that fits over the bottom section of pole, and it slides on, and there's a hole in the bottom pole and the top one, and this clip here snaps into that hole and holds the thing in position. This here sleeve comes separate. Like I said earlier, you can buy the pole yourself a lot more reasonable than I could ship it to you. We learned the hard way again that when you glue this sleeve to the top section of the pole, the reason that being when the rain comes down here so it doesn't run down on the inside and fill our pole up with water in here in Minnesota or the states where it freezes, it'll freeze and bust. We learned that the hard way. So you use your PVC glue and your primer and glue it on, and we have a section in the middle of this here sleeve which stops the pole from going down too far, so you got an equal amount of pole in the top part of the sleeve as you do the bottom part of the sleeve. And when you want to take it off, remove the clip and the pole comes off, along with your wood duck house that sits on top of here. And this thing, the whole thing together, the wood duck house and the pole, probably weighs somewhere in the neighborhood of 12 pounds. So it's pretty easy and easy to manage. Now you've got yourself a real successful wood duck house on a 3-inch PVC pole that has at least a longevity of 15 plus years if you left it outside and didn't do anything with it. But because it's easily removed and you have to go out there and change the nesting material, you can take the thing off, bring it in your garage or your house, and now the longevity is 20 plus years. Thank you. Here and you can see we walked out onto the ice, and the ice here is about 10 to 12 inches thick, and we're augering a hole through the ice with that power auger. And once we get through the ice, we're going to let the auger keep on going a little ways to get down into the mud bottom, so that we can start presenting our pole into the bottom and make it not quite so far to drive it in. Once we've gotten through the ice, which doesn't take all that terribly long, you'll see the mud come up, and you can see that the auger went down into the ice, or into the water quite a ways, and now we're bringing up the mud bottom. And once we've got that done, this is a lot easier installation than trying to do it in the summertime, as you've seen in the previous, to do it in a boat. There's going to be places where you're not going to have ice to walk on, so you're going to be restricted to doing it with a boat or walking out there with hip boots. And here, this is a 10-foot 3-inch Schedule 40 PVC pipe with a 3-inch cap already glued onto the bottom. And the reason for that is to keep the water from getting into the pole, into the areas or the states where it freezes like it here it does in Minnesota. We don't want water to get inside that pole and freeze and bust the pole. Now we've got it started through the hole, and my compadre there is going to drive the thing down into the ground. And you notice he's picking up a piece of block of wood to place on top of the pipe so we can drive it into the mud bottom without smashing the end of that pipe if you used to hit it directly with the sledgehammer. You can see it's going down quite easily to start out, and it doesn't take all that long, and it needs to be driven into the mud bottom quite deep so that we can withstand the wind. And in spring, when their temperature warms up and the ice starts to melt, where it doesn't get a chance to push this 3-inch Schedule 40 PVC pipe over. And once we get it driven down, and we will probably try to get it driven down about 3.5 feet into the ground or into the murky bottom. You'll see here that we've placed it about anywhere from 10 to 15 feet away from the rushes that are in the background, and there's a reason for that. The reason we did that is when the little ducks hatch, they don't have very far to go to get into the rushes to get away from predators, and that's also one of their main sources of food, which makes it easily accessible for them. Our success rate in this type of house and with this pole, you'll see in the next segment coming up, we've been quite successful at it. You'll see my compadre there is still driving it down, and we've probably got it in the ground now about 2.5 feet or so, which we would like to have it a little more to withstand any of the wind or the ice in the spring and so forth. We want to drive it down far enough so that it definitely stays in there. And of course, the further we drive it down, the more accessible it is to walk out here and take a look at the wood duck house after it's installed, and you can do it without a ladder. I'm going to start installing the coupler on here so that it'll accept the birdhouse. Here you can see I'm taking the cleaner and putting the cleaner on the pipe, and we'll put it also on the adapter so that we can glue it to the top of the 3-inch PVC pipe.
it really doesn't bother that bad out here in the cold. It's probably about 25 degrees. And the wind is blowing, which makes it a little bit more difficult, but it can be done. Now we're putting the glue on the pipe, and we're going to put the glue on the inside of the adapter, and once we get that done, we're going to slip it on top, and it'll be glued on, and now we've made it so that we can put the wood duck house on it. Once we've got it glued on, you can see I'm hanging on to it there to make sure that it stays in place until the glue sets up. And now we'll put the wood duck house on, and we've put the hole for the wood duck house so that the entrance hole faces to the north and to the west. And the reason for that is that we want to keep the sun from shining in the entrance hole. Now we slide the thing on top, and there's a hole for the clip that goes to hold the wood duck house on, and right there I'm lining the holes up. We get them lined up, and this clamp goes around with a peg in it which holds the wood duck house in position, and after that's snapped in there we are ready for this coming season's wood duck hatch. You can see there we're drilling the hole that holds the wood duck house on, and that's the clip that goes around with the peg in it that holds the wood duck house onto the 3-inch Schedule 40 PVC pole. That's a necessity so that you can be able to get it off and easily maintain the birdhouse, the wood duck house, and take it inside for the winter months and not let Mother Nature beat it half to death, which extends the longevity of the wood duck house by probably 12 to 15 years. And with it being PVC plastic, and it's got a foam inhibitor in it which acts as an insulator, and here you can see we're installing the 3-inch Schedule 40 PVC pipe into the pond bottom, which is, on most of the cases, is a muddy, murky bottom where the pole goes down relatively easy to a certain extent. As you can see, we're pushing it down by hand there, and you can see the wind in the background there is making it a little bit challenging for us to get it in the ground. We're going to put a block of wood on top of it eventually so we don't split the piece of pipe when we're driving it down the ground. And you'll notice I've taken the sledgehammer and have turned it sideways, so I'm hitting more of the surface of the Schedule 40 PVC pipe instead of just hitting it in one spot and not splitting it. After we get it down a ways where it takes more force to drive the pole into the ground, we're going to put a block of wood on top of it. So when we really lean into it to pound it into the ground, we're not going to beat the end of the pipe up so it won't receive the wood duck house. You'll notice there that we're putting the pole anywhere from 8 to 10 to 12 feet away from the rushes, and there's a reason for that. The reason for that is so that when the ducks hatch and they come out of the wood duck house, they can go into the rushes right away to get away from predators, and also that's where one of their main sources of food is. We've accomplished a couple of things here. We made the wood duck house on top of this 3-inch PVC pole about 99% predator proof because they can't crawl that pole. And the way the wood duck house is designed, they would have to let go of the 3-inch PVC pole to reach up to grab a hold of something. And from the bottom of the house to the bottom of the inlet hole for the wood duck hen is about 9 inches. And there is no raccoon's arm that's that long to accomplish that feat. So we've eliminated a lot of problems for the wood duck. And if it wouldn't be for the man-made wood duck houses, the wood duck was almost extinct. And with operations such as this one here, with our insulated house, We've brought the wood ducks population back to where now there is, in Minnesota, there is a 2-bird bag limit on wood ducks, which was almost unheard of about 12 years ago, 15 years ago. So yeah, this situation really pays off. Putting this thing into the pond like this, I had reservations about when the ice went out in the spring that it would bust that pole off and bend it over. But that white pole picks up enough heat from the sun and it melts around the outside of that pole, and it doesn't bother it at all. The ice breaks up and the pole is strong enough to withstand the honeycombed ice by then, and we've had these poles in the ground and in this pond now. This will be the 5th year, and we've had extreme success with hatchings, and the predator-proof thing is a big item, is a great big item. It's been told that probably only about 30% of the ducks hatch because of predators, and we've virtually eliminated that predator problem, and we've also eliminated the problem of the wood duck house overheating. There you can see my compadre there is holding the wooden post that I'm beating on to drive the thing down in. Now we've probably got it somewhere is in the area of 3 feet in the ground already through the mud. And there's wind problems without being on the pond like that, open in the pond, and that's another reason why we made the wood duck house round, because it's aerodynamic. There is no square side for the wind to get at it and really beat it up. And the bottom part of the wood duck house slides onto that 3-inch PVC pole far enough to give it enough stability to withstand the wind. And like I say, we've had some in operation now going on the 5th year, and we've never had a problem with them. Okay, we've gotten the thing just about driven down far enough to where the wind isn't going to bother it, and it's high enough off the ground that in the wintertime we really don't care if something was to jump up there, the average cat, because there's nothing there for him to harm anymore. The ducks have long since hatched and have went south for the winter, or else they fell prey to some hunter shotgun. The wood duck is one of the male is one of the prettiest ducks there is, and it's quite attractive to the public to watch. Okay, there you can see we are getting ready to mount the wood duck house on our PVC pole, and that again is a real simple application because of the 3-inch PVC pole, and the wood duck house is made so that it sits on top of that 3-inch PVC pole, and which at this height in the wintertime is easy to go out and inspect and look and see what kind of success you had. And there you can see we put the clamp on, or the clip, to hold the wood duck house in place, and there it is. And we put it so the opening faces to the north and to the west, and the reason for that being is we don't want the sun to shine in that directly into the entrance hole so that it can affect the mother hen sitting there. We try to keep her in the shade, and with the insulated wood duck house we can keep the temperature down inside there even on the hottest day, to where it doesn't reach over 112 degrees and kill the embryo inside the egg. Okay, now we're in the process of taking that clip off with the peg in it, and off comes the wood duck house. If you want to take it into your house for the winter months and clean it out and so forth, and there we're installing a 3-inch cap over the top of closing the entrance to the 3-inch PVC pipe. And the reason for that being is that we don't want rain to get in there and fill up the inside of that pole and have it freeze and bust in the winter time, not making it hollow. So there's a strong possibility of it breaking off once it's frozen and cracked. And the cost of that 3-inch cap is probably $2 to $3. So it's real cheap insurance and a good safe protection for the pole. So we've got many years of longevity of using this thing. We got the mission accomplished, and it's more difficult to do it in the summer months like we just did, but it's not impossible, as you can see. It's much easier in the States where it freezes and we have ice to walk on and go out there and we can auger a hole through the ice down into the mud bottom, and much easier to drive the pole in and install the wood duck house before the spring comes and the ice thaws. That is the prime time to do it, to get the thing done, and it seems to work the best. I'm going to take this one off. There we go. From here to the ground level has to be 7 feet or more. The reason for that being is the average cat can jump 7 feet straight up. And we want to keep it away from cats and predators. And the distance from the bottom of the wood duck house to that hole is 9 inches. And that's longer than any raccoon's arm is. So if they did manage to climb the pole, they got to let go and grab a hold of something to get up further to get into the box, and they can't do it. And the reason for the white color is to reflect off the heat that might be generated by the sun shining on it. And this one here, being insulated the way it is, why it solves the problem of overheating the eggs.
Okay.
This pole is a 3-inch Schedule 40 PVC pipe that's 10 foot long. And we buried about 2.5 to 3 foot in the ground to give it stability. January 21, 2012. This is probably the 8th or 9th year that we're out here checking our wood duck nests for see if they got eggshells in them and so forth. And we're going to replenish the nests with new nesting material, and we'll see what happens. We're just gonna take the inspection door off the side on this one. I've already looked on the inside, and we put the inspection door on there for the purpose of inspecting it to see if they've got eggs in it and when the hen is sitting on it. So without disturbing the hen, you can put your hand over the hole and take this door off, and you can reach inside and count the eggs and so forth and so forth. So I'm reaching inside, and there is living proof that we had another successful hatch on this here box. This is one that didn't hatch and didn't make it out of the nest. So I'll dig in here some more, and there's another hatched egg, and you can see the egg shells and the membrane there from the hatched eggs. So we've had a successful hatch in this here particular house. Now this must be going on 5 years in a row. So we'll throw out the old and put in some new nesting material. There are some of the down feathers that the hen wood duck puts on there to keep the eggs cool and also keeps them warm when she's out feeding. So that's just another example that we've had a successful hatch in here. And we use wood shavings for nesting material instead of sawdust, because the sawdust plugs the weep holes that are in the bottom of the house here to keep the moisture draining through. We've discovered the hard way that the wood shavings is the correct answer. So I will put some
new wood shavings in here. You can see there are definitely wood shavings. Okay. Put our inspection door back on with 1 or 2 thumb screws that is plastic so that the thing doesn't rot or to rust. And this here house has been here probably going on 4 years now. And there again, the clip comes off the bottom. You take this clip off with the peg in it, and that's what holds the house to the Schedule 43-inch PVC pipe. And we made it there again virtually predator-proof by doing this. There, we took the inspection door off, and now we're looking right inside the house. And there again, this is 3 for 3 that we have success hatching in our houses, and that goes to prove it. So here we'll take the eggs out, and there again you can see the hatched egg there, and there's 2 of them that didn't hatch, which is not uncommon, and you can see the membrane here of the hatched egg. And we do this every winter. We come out and put in new nesting material. And as I'm doing this is January 21st. It's warm here in southern Minnesota. And you can see I don't have any gloves on. And the nesting material is still dry. There you go. So we'll put in some new nesting material. We try to face the opening of the wood duck box to the north and to the west. And the reason for that is we don't want the hot sun during the height of the day shining inside that hole and making it miserable there for the wood duck. But we've also eliminated some of that problem, or a major part of the problem, because the houses are insulated, and the insulation is impregnated right into the resin that the house is made from. It's nothing that's glued on or painted on or sprayed on. It's there for a long time, and it's got a real hard shell on the insulation so that the little ducks can't pick at it. Of course, they only stay in the nest less than 24 hours and they're out looking for food and getting away from any predators that might come after this thing. Another thing I wanted to point out, even if a predator, mainly a raccoon, could crawl that pole, even if he could crawl that pole and get up here, now he has to let go with his 2 front paws to get a hold of something to pull himself up any further, and he can't because he'd have to let go with his 2 front paws. And once we put the door back on again, there's nothing for him to grab hold of. That's what makes our nesting boxes, placed in this type of situation, probably about 95% predator proof. You can also put this here wood duck box on that pipe on a land application and do this and accomplish the same thing. So we'll close this one down. We got 3 for 3, not bad. As you can see, we just took the lid off, and this is our 5th house. And here I was showing you before the insulation there. You can see the insulation is impregnated right into the resin of the house, and it's hard, so a little duck can't scratch at it. And as you can see, there's eggs and eggshells in this one here, so this makes 5 for 5 that have been successful hatches. There's the eggshell that they've hatched out, and there's some more. There's another unhatched egg. There's a hatched egg, and you can see some of our nesting material. There's another hatched egg shell with a membrane attached to it, and you look down in the house, and now you can see our insulation, or the nesting material that we put in, is still dry. So our weep holes are working. So what I'm going to do, January 31st, 2012, and you look in the background and you'll see that we've got one of our duck boxes out here, and it's a brown colored one, and it's one of our newer ones that we have in production full time. And we'll see what kind of success we had here. I'll take the house off the pole by simply removing the clip here again, and now you can look on the inside. You can see the feathers that was put in there, and them wasn't put in by the wood duck. It was put in by either a bank swallow that nested in here after the wood ducks left. So I'll reach inside and see what we got see if we got any eggshells in here. Look at that. There's a hatched eggshell. And there again is a piece of now that goes to prove to you that their egg isn't a wood duck egg. That is from a bank swallow. So our wood duck house is a multi-purpose house. After the wood duck hatched out and left, why a bank swallow moved in and used the house, and there's an unhatched egg. There's a hatched egg. There is another hatched egg. So this makes 6 for 6. And there again you see our nesting material is still dry. The house, even though it's brown colored, with the insulation that we have in here, you can see that it's still been a successful house. So I'll clean her out a little bit more. Okay. I'll put her back on. We'll line the holes up and put your clip back in, which is simple to do. Now we've got it back in place. This here brown wood duck house is one of the latest models that we have out, and this one here has been here now. This is going on the 3rd year. I'll put in some new wood shavings, and you can see the entrance to this here hole also faces to the north and to the west, and the reason for that is so that the sun don't shine inside the hole. Again, there is nothing here to rot or to rust. These are nylon thumb screws, in which you don't need any wrenches to get at to take them apart. And you slide the thing back on. It's got its own little canopy here to shelter or ford off the wind and the rain, so it stays dry on the inside. You put your door back on, tighten your thumb screws up, and as you can see, I'm not using any wrenches. It took us a total of about 5 minutes to get this here done, and we're off to the races. This goes to prove that even an 8-inch house works, and this is one of our prototypes, and our ladder is still intact, and there is a hatched egg. There's an unhatched egg, and there is some more membrane from a hatched egg. So this makes 7 for 7.
Okay.
Okay. This is, like I say, this is one of our newer houses. It also has the clip on the bottom, and we're going to take the inspection door screws off while it's still mounted on the pole. Okay, we got that off. We'll pull the clip off. Now we can take the house off, and we'll look on the inside, and you can see the bank swallows have used this house also with the big feathers that are in there. So we'll reach in and see what we got, and we'll get rid of some of some of the feathers that the bank swallow carried in, and look at that. There's another successful wood duck house. How about that? We'll that one there has got, and you can see there's some hatched out egg shells, and there's our nesting material again is dry. There's another piece of an egg shell, so that's with the clip on the bottom, and the shank on the birdhouse here is long enough so that it makes it stable once it's sitting on top of the house. So what I'm going to do, now that we've got it cleaned out, and our ladder for our little ducks is still intact, we're going to put this one back in operation. I'm going to put it back on the pole, line our holes up, and there again we've got the thing facing to the north and to the east a little bit on this one here, so that the sun doesn't shine in it. We'll put our clip back in place. That holds the wood duck house on. We're putting the thumb screws back in. There again, you don't need any wrenches or tools to maintain this house, and put new nesting material in and check for if you had a successful nesting time, which we did. This makes 8 for 8 now, and there again we've got it mounted over water, and the land application is basically the same. You use the 3-inch Schedule 40 PVC pipe, and I recommend that from the ground level to the bottom of the house it should be at least 7 feet, and the reason for that is the average cat can jump 7 feet and catch the mother duck as she comes in and out. So we've eliminated that problem, and there again they can't crawl. If they could crawl up this hole, now they have to get a hold of something else here to pull themselves up further. And as you could see by the hatched eggshells, that nothing got at this one here. So this is one of our new sites that we put a house up, and this has probably been here for about 3 years now. And every year we've had a successful hatch in it. So our success rate now is 8 for 8. That gives us 100%.